Hello everybody, and welcome to another stream. First time I've done one by myself in quite a while, so welcome. Today I am doing a ton of Technic here. So basically I've already gone through a couple bags of it, but basically what I'm doing is I'm getting it ready to be cataloged, because obviously I can't just catalog straight out of all of these bags that we have here. It'd be, a colossal waste of time. So I'm basically breaking it down into smaller categories first, and that's what I'm going to do. But let's see, who is here today? Hello, Fun Bricks. Welcome. Great to have you. Legos owner, hello. Fun Brick Creation says, I'm watching the stream on my smart TV, typing in the chat on my computer, and reorganizing some lot locations in Brick Store all at once. Congratulations on the multitasking. Cynthia, welcome. Great to have you here. Legos owner says, I'm doing great. Just ordered 8 pounds of Lego bulk for $30. Congratulations. Alright, so I guess, yeah, I'll just get started. So I don't know exactly how long today's stream is going to be. Evan's not here because he's working on the backyard, and I was working on the backyard right before I came in here. It's been a long time since the lawn has been mowed and all the plants have been taken care of, so we've got a lot of work to catch up on. But basically, I'm just doing this, and then I'm going to head back out there at some point. I have not announced this in Discord. I should probably do that, assuming my phone is somewhere around here, which it is not. Lovely. Oh, here we are. I will go ahead and post this in Discord saying that we are live. If you are not in our Discord, you guys can come check us out. But I know that streams are usually a little bit more boring when it's just one of us rather than both of us. So sorry about that. But if I can survive, you guys can survive. So let's see. I'm live. Also, the microphones were both dead, so today we are using, well, I am using the camera mic, so please let me know how the audio sounds. It might be too quiet or too loud. Hello, Chris. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. Been a while since we've had you here. I guess you're able to make it with this earlier time. How are things going in your store? Because we had a terrific Black Friday. I have not heard from Evan if you have shared how your Black Friday went or not. So, hello, David. Welcome. How's the retail store doing? It seemed like you were having a pretty good opening week. David says, check Discord Hall. Let's see here. In Bricklink. Oh, wow. Wow. That is pretty nice. That is a ton of figs. Holy crap. 60 pounds. Wow. That is insane. David says, I'm in my storefront as we speak. I feel great. Fantastic. Fidel says, hey, hello. Chris says, busy, good. That's great to hear. It seems like a lot of people had a pretty good Black Friday, so. Although now we've kind of got the in-between holiday slump where no one wants to buy anything because they know deals are coming soon, so. But yeah, our weekend was pretty record-breaking, so. Very happy about that. We now have to really struggle to get all of that stock back on the shelves, though. But we've been doing kind of a great consolidation, and we have like almost 1,000 drawers free. So we'll be able to fill all of that. So hopefully this Technic will make it onto the wall pretty quickly. What about everyone else in terms of getting ready for the holidays coming up? I imagine that everybody's really trying to bulk up their store before then. Fidel says, I reached my goal for 2021, getting to 100 orders in total. Congratulations, Fidel. How is your store growing? You've seen a lot of growth, if I remember correctly, so that's fantastic. How many stores are there in Mexico now? Hello, Dunder Mifflin. It's just me today, but thank you. Maybe I will try and get Evan to stop by for a few minutes at some point. Man, I've been seeing a lot of these orange Technic pens, and they look pretty legit. I haven't actually checked to see whether or not they make Technic in orange now, but this is like the first time I've seen them, but I've pulled out a couple, so... They look like Legos, so we'll see when I get around to actually cataloging. But never seen them before. Fidel says currently 14. A couple of them are growing as well. Well, I guess that's both good and bad. It means that there are more people. Hopefully the market is larger. But I guess it also means you have competition now. So I guess it's a two-way street. David says 48 minutes till I can dig through everything. Yeah, let us know what you find, because that seems like a pretty good haul in terms of figs. So yeah, we really got to get on getting some more different sources of bulk and stuff, because a lot of people seem to be finding a lot of very good stuff, and we kind of just have like the same supplier that we see all the time, which is nice and all because it's super consistent, but it'd be nice to kind of mix up the sourcing. It was 130 pounds filled with figs for $3.25. Wow, that is a fantastic, especially because it looked like there were quite a few Star Wars figs in that, so those will go pretty fast. Have you noticed a big discrepancy in terms of what people buy in the store physically versus what people buy online? Like, I know you have kind of two different inventories. It's not like they can just order anything. But have you noticed a very different demographic and stuff in terms of who comes in to buy in person? David says almost all Star Wars and CMFs. Yeah, that's a good find. David says, people pay way up for dirt bikes in retail. I cannot keep them stocked. Interesting. RC Card Rippers asks, may I ask a question? Sure. As a new Bricklink seller in a perfect world, a high number of parts and a high number of lots would be ideal, but which do you feel is more important for growth, lots or pieces? Well, that kind of depends on what kind of a store you want to run. If you want to focus almost exclusively on new, then I would say focus on count. People seem to buy new in higher quantity. But if you are buying, if you're just trying to start like a mixed store or something, then you're going to end up with a higher lot count versus quantity simply because you're buying used, which is going to be random. I would say the lot count definitely drives more people to the store, but the higher the piece count, the larger the orders will be. Is kind of what we've realized with lots being the highest signifier in terms of how many orders you're getting, and piece count kind of being more in line with how large those orders are. So that's kind of what I can tell you. We used to say all the time that piece count was a lot higher, but we no longer really say that because our sales numbers were really quite lacking in terms of other people when we were following that tactic. And now we're kind of focusing more on having a higher lot count, and we're definitely getting a lot more sales. So kind of, I would suggest when you first start out, if you have the budget, then start with new. It's going to be a lot easier to manage, and you're going to bulk up that piece count, which will hopefully allow you to get some early buyers, and then kind of switch over to doing lots of used. But I know there are other people that have completely sworn off doing new. Like David, he does not do new at all anymore, except I believe he sells like whole sets and stuff. But David, you don't do any new except CMFs, right? Dunder Mifflin says, lots get more orders, pieces get bigger orders. In my experience, get your store to 60,000 parts and 3,000 lots, then decide where you want to go from there. Before then, you don't really get consistent orders. Yeah, I think I'd probably agree with that. That's pretty solid advice. RC Card Rippers says, perfect, thank you, enjoy the channel. Thank you very much. We love to hear that. So it's great that we're still helping to start other stores. David says, I'm done with new. What about like CMFs and stuff? Do you plan on buying like the really easy stuff like that? But we've cut back on our new intake quite a bit. We still buy stuff occasionally when it has really good part out value. I'm buying a Big Ben later this evening. At a pretty good price, so you know, we still do a little bit, but we're definitely doing a lot more used than we are new now. Soulflame says, hello everyone, welcome to the stream, great to have you here. Funberg says, I have my own used parts and new parts as well. I plan to expand on new parts and keep small to a minimum. What do you mean keep small to a minimum? David says, I only sell new parts from sealed bags. Okay. So just the bags you randomly get, yeah. Interesting. How has the sourcing gone in terms of the store? Like, have you been getting a pretty good return in terms of people coming in for trade-ins and stuff? Because I imagine that's a pretty big reason to have a retail location, is a lot of the source just shows up at your door. And a lot of the people probably getting rid of it don't know a ton in terms of what everything's worth. David West says, yes, this is something that walked in. Oh, the 130 pounds. Okay. Yeah, that's real nice to just have stuff show up for you. Really cutting out a lot of time spent looking for stuff. Dunder Mifflin says, what type of dynamic shift have you guys seen with free shipping at 35? I put free shipping at 50, which created an odd dynamic of orders, either being under 15 or over 50, nothing in between. Interesting. Our order average is now above $35. So most orders are over 35. That's kind of the shift that we've seen, but it's very interesting that you have a split like that. Kind of, maybe we could raise our free shipping and get a lot more high orders like that. Interesting. Soulflame says, I did start with new parts, but I prefer used parts. Yeah, that's kind of where we're getting to, is Used is just a lot better. I mean, I say here as I'm sorting through a billion Technic pieces, but usually this goes way faster than it is here on the screen, because I can kind of just get into the flow. But, yeah, I've found used to be kind of just a lot easier. I mean, there is the trouble of tracking down contractors and stuff and finding reliable and capable people. But, you know, other than that, it seems to just generally be better. And obviously the supply is way more available. So. Funbrick Creation says, I mean, I only plan to add used Lego from sets that I have built and then part it out, rather than go hunt to buy used parts. Okay, interesting there. Because I know as you grow, a lot of people end up sourcing used because it's just so much stuff. A Happy Brick Life says, will you still make a profit if you give 40% discount and ship for free from your Black Friday sale? We did make a profit on Black Friday, but the margins were obviously a lot smaller. Kind of the biggest problem is we had a lot of order screw-ups. We had to get 2 contractors in who had never picked before, and there were a lot of order errors, and that was actually kind of a major expense. Had we planned better, and now we know just how many crazy orders we can, what the crazy amount of orders is, we wouldn't have to rush it, and we probably could have done it without bringing in 2 additional contractors to pick, had we been more intelligent about how we space things out and shipping. And that would have saved us a lot of money, because minimum wage here is pretty high. So, yeah, that cost a lot. But in terms of like the actual cost of goods sold and stuff, yes, we did make a profit. So, yes. Yeah. Soulflame says, indeed, used sells faster. You can find a lot more high-value items, plus I can use them in my own builds from time to time. Yeah. Mike says, howdy all. Hello. David West says, anyone want every Star Wars fig produced between 2012 and 2017? David says, because apparently I have them. Wow, that is very, very impressive. You could make one hell of a display. Fidel says, all those new stores reached out to me before and after opening, and we keep in touch. It might be the birth of a new Bricklink community here. That's fantastic, Fidel. Funbrick Creation says, if I move and can have a bigger space for my store, then I can think about hunting and adding more used parts. Yeah, space is definitely a major restricting factor in terms of stuff, even for us here. We're going to outgrow this garage pretty quickly, so we're going to have to figure out where we are going to go. Just because stuff is so expensive here. But yeah, we've filled, I mean, we've got 1,000 drawers free from Black Friday, but before Black Friday, we've filled now almost all the new shelves that we've put in. So we're going to have to add another wall here pretty soon. And obviously after that, it's only going to grow more quickly. So Lego Zoner says, I have a question. I use a lot of my pieces, but there are some pieces I never use. Should I make a Bricklink store or just keep them? You should probably just keep them. If you're just going to be running a tiny little store, it's honestly probably not worth it. Bricklink only becomes, at least in my opinion, really only becomes worth it as you grow. I know that some people do that, but you won't really make a profit if you're just treating it as a hobby. If you want to make money, you really have to look at it as a business. And that means having it basically be separate. I'm not saying you can't use your collection as source, but your primary focus should be on Bricklink rather than the collection. Funderbrick Creations says... Oh, wait, I missed something. Dunder says, do you guys mix the new and used in your wall, or do you have separate sections for acromills? No, we mix. So basically, we have it by dividers, so there can actually be new and used in the same drawer, so long as there's a divider between them. So the pieces don't actually touch, but they do move. Or sorry, what am I saying? We have a divider in between them, so they don't actually touch, but we do store them together, obviously. Just because if there's a drawer that's half empty, then we want to use that drawer. So, yeah. Soulflame says, I don't agree with that. I assume that means in terms of a small store not being profitable. I mean, obviously, if you want to run a hobby store to help finance your hobby, that's fine. You know, and I'm not saying you can't use your collection as sourcing material, but if you're looking, if you're going into it with the idea of, I want to make a full-time living off of this, then you're not going to... Basically, the larger your store is, the more efficient your time is going to be. So if you are running a very small store, then the amount of time you spend picking orders and adding stuff is not going to be as efficient as if you were a much larger store doing it. Lego's owner says, yeah, because I use my pieces for Lego City, which takes a lot. Yeah, I mean, if you have a ton of pieces, then yes. But, I mean, I guess it really depends on what you're considering to be a ton of pieces. You know, how Evan and I basically look at it is, all the Lego in here is property of the store and is merchandise, and is not a collection. It's the feeling associated with this piece is very different than the feeling associated with something on my shelf, right? This is just a part of business and something that I sell. Soulflame says, I agree with that, Paul. I was going to write what you just said. Oh, okay. Yeah, basically, I try and keep them very segmented. And that's just because this is what I do to make money. And if I let my collector's mind interfere with that, then I'm not going to end up making any money. So, yeah, that's kind of how I look at it. There was a stream not that long ago. I believe we did an interview with Shane. That feels wrong in my mouth. I feel like I just said the wrong person's name. Shane. Yeah, I think it was Shane. And we kind of talked about the difference between a hobbyist mindset and a business mindset. So, yeah. Dunder Mifflin says, Bricklink doesn't work too well for selling off an old collection. It's not really designed for that. If you have some Lego you want to get rid of and make a small amount of money, go with eBay. Yeah, I think I agree with that. Bricklink is built much more for a sustained market presence rather than just simply trying to sell stuff off, because the truth is you won't be able to compete with the larger stores if you are trying. You'll have to price your goods at either a loss or at market average, and if you're pricing it at market average, then you're going to have to work it like a store, and that's going to take a lot of time. So, you know, you'll just get out-competed. But on eBay, there are always people looking to buy stuff, so you might have better luck on eBay. Also, you can't sell bulk on Bricklink. You can sell bulk on eBay, so what it might be more worth it for you is to, on eBay, sell the high-value parts individually and just sell everything else as bulk, so that way you don't have to inventory everything. Because obviously doing this for a whole collection is a lot of work and stuff. So that would probably be my advice for selling a collection. Or find a Bricklink store that wants to make you an offer on it. Is totally another another way to do it. So if you have a very large collection, I'm sure that there are several people in this chat, especially if there's someone that lives close to you, that would probably be willing to make an offer. So. Soulflame says, or you can orient your store to store a specific topic, vintage, minifigs, collectible sets. Yeah, I've kind of thought about that, but the truth is with the wanted list feature, I feel like a high quantity store, or a store with a lot of lots is still going to win out every time. Because I think it's unlikely that someone is going to go to a Technic dedicated store and pay a higher premium on those pieces. Because the premium has to be higher because you're still doing all the same labor as another store. You're just not selling it all. So, you know, I feel like that's kind of dubious, but I don't know, I could be wrong. Legos Owner says, well, for example, I don't really use any Technic pieces for my city, so that was what I was trying to ask, because I have too much Technic right now, and my storage bins can't really hold anymore. Well, Technic sells really well, so you could probably actually sell that per pound on eBay at a pretty hefty price, so long as it's all Technic. I mean, I'm doing 20 pounds of Technic right now, so Technic is definitely a pretty high value store. David West says specialty stores are a myth. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there are some that exist, but I have a hard time believing that you could run a profitable or run a competitive store like that. Just because there's really nothing that makes you special. Someone else can do exactly what you're doing, but also serve many other niches in the market without losing any quality. So that's just kind of my 2 cents on it. Doesn't mean that I'm 100% correct, though. It could be that I don't understand something about the market, but that is my general understanding. So if you want to run a specialty store, then run a specialty store. But Soulflame says it depends on the parts. I had some parts for the M-Tron magnetizer, sold instantly. Had the instructions of the Galaxy Cruiser, sold instantly. It depends on the items. Yes, I agree, but there's nothing saying that I, as a generalist store, could not also have those items. We have about the same chance of getting those sets, or getting those pieces. Right? If you're specializing in something, then you're basically saying I'm not going to sell anything else. Right? So how are you sourcing all those specialty parts, right? Are you getting them pre-sorted and then paying a higher premium to have someone else sort them? Or are you just bagging up everything that you don't want to sell and reselling it as bulk and losing off some of that money? So, you know, that's kind of my thoughts on it. Happy Brick Life says, lately I'm having trouble consolidating new sets. Bricklink doesn't recognize my remarks, even though they exist. After uploading, I still have to merge those lots again. Who has the same problem? We don't, at least not that I know of, and I'm pretty sure we would have noticed that, so. Soulflame says, everybody sells Lego, but you can make your special store regardless by selling high-quality parts at 20% 6 months average, for example. Yes, but I could also sell my parts at 20% 6 month sales average. And Dunder Mifflin is right. You can do whatever you want. You know, that's really what it is. If you want to run a specialty store, then run a specialty store. I'm just saying that you'll probably make less money in a generalist store, because Great Brick Lab marks up his pieces by an insane amount and makes a lot of money doing it. And so he's not a specialist store, and he can probably mark up higher than specialist stores can, because the people buying from the specialist stores might not even realize they're buying from a specialist store. And so they'd rather get all their parts from everything they need in one spot and pay less on shipping. Happy Brick Life says, when parting out, I mean. I don't know why that consolidation error would happen. If you want to, you can join our Discord. The link should be in the description, and you can ask in chat there if anyone else has had the issue. That's probably going to be your best bet. Fidel says, don't know if it's considered a specialty store, but a store here focuses on employee gift sets and some expensive minifigs. Yeah, I would consider that a specialty store, and if he's able to source that uniquely, right, with, like, if he has a guy who pulls those things out for him and gives it to him, and he's not paying any more than the rest of us would, then yes, that could work. But basically what I'm saying is a specialty store would have to operate on a completely different workflow. And I just don't know if that workflow is profitable. RC Card Ripper says, doesn't it make more sense if you have a large store to go by current value versus sold? Yes. But we are not big enough for that. Soulflame says, I agree, Dunder. I run my store as a hobby. Funbrick Creation says, a happy brick life. I have the same issue. Okay, good. I add parts and change remarks in the Bricklink store, and Bricklink doesn't see the changes, so I have to manually change the remarks in Bricklink. That's very interesting. We have not had that issue. Lego Zoner says, where do you get your Lego bulk? We have a guy who sells it to us. But most people buy from basically like lots and garage sales and eBay. And the other big one is Goodwill auctions. So that's where I recommend grabbing it. But your best bet is probably going to be garage sales and next door neighbor. RC Card Ripper says, what do you consider big enough? I'm not exactly sure where I would draw the line. David, do you price at current or 6 month? I know Chris prices at current, but he's massive. So, bigger than we are, but I would say we're probably getting pretty close to it. We could probably mark up a little bit right now. Well, usually we do. A lot of stuff we sell is marked up 5%. And then minifigs are usually marked up like 20 plus percent for a lot of figs. So, if that gives you any indication, we can get away with that. So a store presumably bigger than us could get away with marking up more. Lego's owner says, I get my bulk from Mercari and garage sales. Mercari, I have not heard of that before. Funbrick says, I price at 6 month average, plus I use a Mac with Brickstore. Yeah, we use Brickstore. And it's usually done on Evan's Mac. So. Handles Imperium says, do you categorize parts as new if they are pulled from sealed sets, or do you categorize parts as new even if they're technically used as long as they look new? They have to come from a sealed set. If it's not from a sealed set, then it's used. Gerard, welcome. Great to have you here. RC Card Ripper says, I played around with Brickstore for a little bit, but found it harder to just part out using the website. Am I missing the advantage? For parting out a new set, not if you don't have a big store. If you have a big store, it's way better because you can use Brickstock Merge to get the remarks on the part out page directly rather than having to click through. So basically, you can run through the store and do consolidation first or as you are parting out simultaneously on a cart rather than otherwise. But if you're still a small store, then and you don't have very many lots to consolidate, then no. If you're doing used, then Brickstore will save you 400, 500, 600% time, if not more. I believe we have videos on why, but basically Brickstore allows you to create a whole spreadsheet and upload in bulk, rather than doing one piece at a time and having to look for it. And that, I literally, I cannot define how much time that saves. Fun Brick Creations says, it was you and Evan who got me into using Brickstore rather than using Bricklink directly. I do, however, upload only a few parts at once and don't have as much of an issue with the remarks issue. Dunder Mifflin says, I don't know how the heck Pops does it without Brickstore. Yeah, neither do I. Like, for example, all this Technic is going to get added. And if I had to manually go through and find each individual piece on Brickstore, go to the Add Items tab, and add it in, I wouldn't do it. With Brickstore, I can just search quickly and just add them all, and there's a color wheel right there, so I can just select all the different colors, rather than having to go through this whole complex process of adding everything. And then I just upload that XML directly to Bricklink, and it gets added and consolidated. So, I mean, it saves hours. Tens of hours, maybe. So, yeah, it's an essential piece in the store. But we did not start using Brickstore for new until pretty recently. So, you know, there's definitely less of an incentive there. But as your store grows, you will definitely want to switch over to it because of the Brickstock merge functionality. I only upload directly to Bricklink if I'm uploading a small set that I have no lots in already, or and it is less than 20 lots, or when I'm having the issue with Bricklink, or sorry, issue with Brickstore. Yeah. Hello, Arno. Welcome. What issue do you have with Brickstore? I'm sorry if you already mentioned it, but I have forgotten. Dusan says, what is part count all-around store with used parts for $1,000, $1,200 in profit range? I just want to know how much I can grow for that profit. Are you talking profit or revenue? Because those are two very different things. And in terms of revenue, when did we hit that? Quite a long time ago. Right now, last month we hit $5,000 in revenue. We upload a monthly sales recap, so you could probably go back and figure out what month we first clicked over 1,000. But it was sometime in 2020, mid 2020 or late mid 2020, I think, sometime in mid 2020. In terms of profit, that's a much more complicated question. Because Evan and I, we don't really have a lot of profit because we just reinvest at the end of the month, basically all of the surplus, back into buying more stuff. So I couldn't really give you that number. But if you wanted to just stop expanding, and just take that as cash, Girard is probably not too far from the mark at 130,000, 5,000. You could go back through our revenue videos and our monthly recaps. If you just search just a Brick in the Bucket monthly recap, and you could see what our revenue is and where some of our expenses are going, and that way you could kind of ballpark it. But I really couldn't tell you in terms of profit. Funbricks Legos owner says, so is it better to just buy sets and sell them over time, or buy bulk and sell that? Buy bulk. What do you mean by sell sets over time? Do you mean like part them out and then you're saying for bulk, resell bulk? You could resell bulk. Evan and I ran the margins on that, and buying it at the price at which we buy it, it wouldn't really work. But if you really got it down and you found a regular supplier who could supply you with lots of bulk in the $1.50 to $2 range per pound with figs, you could resell that bulk for probably $8 to $12 on eBay. So you could definitely make a good profit reselling bulk. Thunder Mifflin says, Paul, a friend and I were talking the other day about an interesting topic. No, I'm not doing that. Kyle Royer Knives, welcome to the stream, by the way, says, I'm at 335 pieces and 117 lots. Getting there. That, you definitely have quite a way to go, but starting is the first step. So, you know, the most important step is uploading your first few lots. So, Legos owner says, buy Lego sets and wait till it retires, and then sell it a couple years later. There is another channel whose name is escaping my head right now. There is a channel which basically exclusively talks about this. Brick. It'll come to me. But we don't hold sets. It's just not our model. But you can definitely make money doing that. But it's a completely different it's basically a completely different business. You're looking at completely different numbers and tracking completely different information. Brick Bucks, yes. Thank you, Dunder Mifflin. Yeah, I recommend you go check them out if you want more information. Evan and I have kind of taken a very brief look at it and just decided that it would be too big of a departure from our model. So we don't do it. It might be something we expand to in the future when this store has hit the size that we kind of want to keep it at and we're looking to diversify. But right now, it's just not really... I would not feel comfortable answering questions about it because I'd be too likely to give you an incorrect answer. Fidel says, are you happy with your profit margins? No, we're never happy with our profit margins. And no one should ever be happy with their profit margins. But basically, we need to reevaluate how much we're paying for used. I think we're overpaying. So if we could get that down, that would make us much happier. But in terms of labor costs and stuff, basically we can't get that any lower. Just because it's California and things are very expensive. Handles says, have you ever considered paying someone externally to sort parts? Yes, we already do that. We have 2 contractors who sort and catalog for us, but we pay commission. So basically they get a percentage of the total value of what they catalog. Sorters get a flat fee. So I do the higher value, more technical stuff, like Technic, minifig parts, etc. Just because it's going to be cheaper. Because, 20 pounds of Technic might be, I don't know, 12 grand. Sorry, not 12 grand, $1,200. or something like that. Not that we'd be paying them, but just in total sale value, if not higher. We have a spreadsheet for that somewhere, but I don't want to pay a commission of that, so I do it myself. As time goes on and I get stuck doing more and more management and supervisory stuff and I don't have time, eventually it will be more worth it to hire someone to do it. But for right now, we basically just send out the lower quality, the less difficult, lower value categories. Gerard says, question, is it worth it to part out minifigs? If you already have them, yes. Or if they are very low value, yes. For set, when we buy new sets and we get a lot of the same fig, we usually split it half and half. Or we just run a value check. Sometimes parting out is worth more than the whole fig. So we part it out in that case. In terms of new, or sorry, in terms of used, if the fig is correct, we usually just sell it. Nikolai says, when talking about revenue, do you count shipping as part of the revenue, or is that a separate income? It's revenue. We have gross revenue. So we tally up everything from everything, and then shipping just becomes an expense, and so then it gets subtracted from the total revenue when we do our budget. Happy Brick Life says, do you rely on a counting scale when picking orders? I made a mistake 2 times because of this and did not send enough parts to the customer. No, we count. We used to use it for studs and stuff, but now we count everything individually. At some point, we will maybe get a more accurate counting scale, but the extra labor involved in just counting manually is cheaper than the refund. So, basically, a minimum refund is like $3, $3 to $4. We won't really refund less than that. So even if it's a couple cent piece, we'll usually refund $3 or $4, probably $3, maybe $2.50 if it was like a cent piece. But basically, so long as it wouldn't take more time for someone to count that than $2.50 of their time, it's worth it to have them count and be accurate. And plus also you have to keep in mind the value of the customer being upset and then not coming back. So usually it's better to just have high accuracy. Fidel says, I invest into a very few, like the Bespin dual set and freebies like the vintage camera. Some of those collectible stuff is definitely probably worth it. Handles Imperium says, what is the best-selling and worst-selling brick color in your store? I can check that for you. Black is the best-selling, by like probably 60%, if not double. Let's see here. I can pull up our analytics. Okay, black sells more. Oh, that's for this month. Let's go back a month so we have a whole month of data. November. Okay, black sells by probably 20% more than light bluish gray. Light bluish gray, white, and dark gray are pretty much even. Bright light orange is the worst performing color that is bothered being ranked. There are colors that sell less than that, but we don't even bother. Brick Freedom does not bother ranking them. So that's what I can tell you. But yeah, black sells really well. In the past, black has sold more than, like double, maybe not more than double, but like double any other color. November's data might be skewed because of Black Friday, but yeah, black is by far the best selling color. Paul Holroyd, welcome Paul. Technic is a nice sort. Bionicle though, something else entirely. I have tubs of the stuff I'm nervous to make a start on. I just did minifig parts, which usually the sorters stick Bionicle in there. Bionicle either ends up in Technic or minifig parts. It's supposed to end up in Technic, but more often than not they put it in minifig parts. And so long as they're consistent, it's really not worth a lecture. But they actually weren't that bad. Most Bionicle parts are numbered. So it's actually a lot easier than you might think. And usually the number is pretty visible as well. So, Dunder Mifflin Brick Co. says, how many orders do you guys get where they end up paying the $3 fee and $4.95 for shipping? I don't have solid analytics on that, although that is actually something that I would like to get. I will make a note to actually get analytics on that. But it's not super often, but it's enough that it's worth talking about. It's enough that it's worth knowing. But definitely people pay it. So usually it's because they need like a minifig piece or something like that. So yeah, people do pay it. I don't really understand why, but I guess they want that piece. Fun Brick Creation says, I find I have black, white, and both dark and light bluish gray sell the most with new and used parts. Yeah, that's our highest rankings as well. So, and it makes sense. Those are Star Wars colors. Handel's Imperium says, do you guys sell big base plates? Are those vintage 3D plates from the Castle and Pirate sets in demand? We do sell them. I don't know. Looks like we only have like 1 or 2 in stock that I can see in their spot. But we don't not stock them. It's just we don't stock specific items usually. It's just whatever we pull out of the used bin. But they're a huge pain to ship. And so it's a huge pain. The vintage 3D plates, we've never had one, so I don't actually know if they're in a ton of demand. But I would imagine that the answer is yes. Just I could see a lot of stuff being used for them. They aren't made anymore. So yeah, I would guess that they would be. You can go on Bricklink and look up the part, and there should be a basically how many are listed versus how many have sold. And then you can basically get a percentage of how many people list versus how many sell, and that should basically give you kind of a rough knowledge of whether or not they are in demand. So basically what I'm about to do here is dump all this into another container. So I'm pulling out all of the pins, all of the axles, and all the lift arms. And everything else goes into another bin, and I will deal with it later. These are some of the highest performing pieces, so I'm going to pull them out, get them listed first, and then I'm going to come back and do everything else. Just because I can do these 3 subcategories very quickly versus everything else is going to take me a very long time. So just a tip for anyone that runs their sorting similar to how I do it, where I break it down into subcategories. For Technic, I recommend having an everything else and then a lift arm, axle, and pin category, and doing those first. Fidel says, last week I received an order from the US for regular pieces and fig parts. I never thought that would happen to get a customer from there, considering my small store and the amount of sellers there. Interesting. Maybe you were kind of the only person with figs, with those specific fig parts that they needed. Handles Imperium says, do you wash used parts before sorting? You do that only if they're obviously very dirty. They get washed after they come back from the sorter. So first the sorter gets it dirty, and then it gets washed, and that's because we don't want electronic parts and stickered and printed parts to go through the washing machine. So yeah, that's kind of what happens. Gears do sell very well as well. Maybe I should pull those out as well. Well, it's too late because I've already started, but gears would probably be another good one to add as something that I should pull out. Pull out again. But Soulflame says, I have a bin of 10 kilograms containing, I'll do this later. Yeah, that's the stickers for me. Stickers, they just don't sell. I don't understand. Well, I guess I kind of understand why, but we added a bunch of stickers. They just aren't selling, and so now they're kind of just piling up because it's really not worth my time. Happy Brick Life says, are Technic parts selling well in your store? I sell almost nothing on Technics. Yeah, Technics are a huge part of sales. They go very fast. Especially the more unique parts, like really unique parts, go pretty fast. But I mean, pins and axles and lift arms make a steady sale. Those sell pretty steadily. They don't like disappear overnight, but people do buy them out, and so they definitely have to be restocked. Especially after Black Friday, a ton of Technic was sold, and so that's kind of why I'm doing this now to get it back in for the holidays. Here. How long have we been going? Why can I not see it? 56 minutes. Okay. Handles Imperium says, I've heard that it's becoming increasingly hard to sort used Lego due to the fact that there are more and more off-brand brands mixed in there. That is absolutely true. The worst one is, it starts with a C. Kago or something like that. It's almost indistinguishable from Lego. We have, I hate to admit it, but we have actually accidentally shipped a fake Lego by that brand to someone else. Obviously they got a refund. And that's like, we have like basically a zero tolerance for that. Kobe, yes. I have found Kobe very difficult to distinguish from real Lego. And so a lot of the colors, other than the whites are very bright from Kobe, but for the most part, I have found them very difficult to ship, or to tell the difference apart. Yeah. I found 7,000. I assume that's a typo for selling for found. 7,000 pins the other day with some discount. Yeah, pins are crazy. I once I'm not sure. Sorry, Gerard. But yeah, Kobe is the offending brand. I hate that one. Mega blocks are really easy to spot. Yeah. Most of the other off-brand ones are super easy to identify. Gerard says sold. Okay. I sold 7,000 pins the other day. Yeah. Soulflame says I do have a small shoebox containing some Mega Blocks because they have molds that Lego doesn't make. Not for sale on Bricklink, of course. Of course. We usually just toss them. Just because I don't want to run the risk of storing non-Lego on the shelves. Also, our inventory system just isn't compatible with non-Lego. So that is a bit more complicated. So yeah, we just usually toss it. But maybe it would be a good idea to store it somewhere, but I don't really have a good idea of what is valuable in terms of Mega Blocks. So I would not really be able to tell that very easily. And so far as I know, there's no brick store equivalent for Mega Bloks, so it would be very difficult to look stuff up. Okay, that's going over there. I give up. Alright, I don't know how much longer I'm going to go. Today was going to be a pretty short stream, so we'll see here. Soulflame says, oh, I just keep the Mega Bloks for building in my mocks, not for resale. Okay, yeah, that makes more sense. Gerard says, the colors from Kobe are more shiny. Interesting. Yeah, I guess I have noticed that, but sometimes it just makes them look very new. Paul Royd says, where's the most unexpected place you sent an order? I sent an order to Jamaica the other week. Excuse me. First time ever to the Caribbean. I'm not sure. We've had a canceled order from India. I feel like we've shipped to Japan a couple times. We don't really get a ton of international orders. Almost all of our international orders come from Canada. So, Canada or the UK. Lego Zoner says, I have a huge box of pieces that are not Lego. Should I just sell the crate on eBay? Yeah, just make sure you explicitly state that it's not Lego. Zulfam says, most Mega Bloks I give to orphanages or schools for free. I only keep molds that Lego doesn't make. That's a good idea. I think Chris... No, he just stores it all. Someone else donates it as well, I believe. Gerard says, what was your trigger to start selling Lego? Mine was the minute I was first at a Lego convention. Well, Evan started the store. I came on later. He started it way back in high school, and then he shut it down. I don't know exactly what first made him start. I think he did want to make money. And he'll admit this himself, but he was not the best at it. He sold at, like, the minimum cost possible. And he shut it down. So... I came in end of 2019, I think. End of 2019, I think. And so, maybe it was beginning of 2020. It was when we moved in here, because this is my garage. So, yeah, but Evan and I have been friends forever, so I kind of just joined because it was something we were all just doing. Kyle was involved as well. And eventually I just ended up becoming a co-owner with him because I stuck around. So that's kind of the story. But I did collect a lot of Lego as a child, and now this is my job, so I'm here to stay. Funberg Creation says, have I missed anything in the last 5 to 10 minutes since I had something to go do? Not really. We were kind of just talking about fake Lego. Fidel says, what are regular domestic shipping rates in the U.S.? I want to offer competitive shipping prices to maybe tap into the American market. For under 4 ounces... I just cannot stop yawning today. My apologies. For under 4 ounces, probably like $4.50, depending on where you want to go. $8 and something as well, kind of next up on the tree, and $13 something for the highest in terms of weight. Then if you really want to start getting up there in terms of like priority shipping, $20. Like $3.35 I believe is the cheapest, although they did just hike their rates. So it may no longer be $3.35, but I'm pretty sure it's $3.35 is the cheapest for under 4 ounces in a package with tracking. Everything has tracking. And that's basically what we would pay to ship within California. Or to like a very close adjacent state, it would be like $335. So $6 shipping is not actually that bad. So you could probably compete with $6 shipping. Maybe if you added free shipping in terms of if it exceeded a certain value, but I mean, I don't know if you could absorb that cost. Because we do not do free international. So yeah. I think that's probably gonna wrap it up here unless anyone has any last minute questions. I did not get a ton done today, but that's alright. I gotta go pick up some used after this and get back to working on the front yard. Handles Imperium asks, what is a surprisingly expensive regular Lego piece that anyone could have in his Lego bin? Light bluish gray. This piece here. I apologize, my fingernails are quite dirty because I was just out in the yard pulling plants. But this piece here in light bluish gray. And let's see, what is some other stuff? Minifigs. Base plates. Base plates go for quite a bit. So do some tiles if they're in good condition. Taylor to you says, will we see more of Kyle? Probably. We're still friends and stuff. He just isn't really affiliated with the business anymore. He's teaching at a coding camp now. So it wasn't really worth it for him to be here. And I'm not saying that passive aggressively or anything. We still hang out and everything. It's just he had other stuff that he wanted to do. He's a coder and does all that kind of stuff. So he wanted a more steady income. But yeah, I mean, I will try to wrangle him back onto a stream. We were going to build a hidden side set and do the VR stuff as like a joke. So at some point I'll wrangle him to come by and do that. And he was in packing orders over Black Friday, so he's still around. He just isn't really, an owner anymore. So, old style Technic pin, $5 each. Paul Holroyd says. Yeah. All right, everybody. That's it. I'm gonna head out. Good night for those of you who are going to sleep soon. I wish I could, but I'm gonna head out, work on the front yard for a bit, and get some more Lego. So I will be seeing you all hopefully next weekend. I'll be doing a stream. There are no more vacations coming up, so I will be here for the foreseeable future. Goodbye, and make sure to join our Discord, subscribe if you like the channel, and if you really want to support us, you can check out our Patreon.